Am I asking for too much? He closed his eyes, being offended. Haven't I waited long enough? Will my wait really never end? He sighed and rested his head on the soft pillow. Switch off the light, please. Wen smirked. You really don't want to see what my dreams about you were like? Jungkook curled his eyebrows but didn't open his eyes. I want to, but maybe I lack patience. He slowly opened his eyes and noticed Wen took off the outer layer of her clothes casually. At this moment, Jungkook was beyond surprised. Leaning towards his body, Wen made him to be seated on the bed and started unbuttoning his shirt. You dreamed this? He chuckled. You just wanted to unbutton my shirt. That's not the point. You never wore clothes in any of my dreams. You were just getting ready to be casted, Shona. She curled her lips, and her fingers started dancing while tracing each and every square centimeter of his big chest. Van inhaled deeply. I'm still used to with your old fragrance, but this new one, I think it's not only suits you but also complements your personality. She touched his bare neckline with her pair of warm lips and put her fingers in his hair and took a few strands of his hair inside her fist. I didn't get a chance to touch this. He closed his eyes and sighed as he never thought her simple touches can have so much effect on him. He gulped down an amount of saliva. Wrap your hands around my waist, she demanded and placed his palms on her waistline. You said, don't cry, Van. He doesn't know who you are because you didn't let him know. You are my wife and I know how to make you happy. He doesn't. He doesn't even need to know that though. He is just your colleague and eventually he or you will be transferred. Now you did something like this. She instructed him to hug her waist from behind. Ask me how was my day, tap on my back and console me. Don't worry, it's your work. No one gave you the designation. You achieved it. You must work hard. I'm proud of you. Don't forget to tuck the hair strands behind my ears. Don't forget to finger brush the baby hair from my forehead before giving me the goodnight peck. Jungkook managed to curve his lips as in her imaginations and dreams, she only dreamed to share her day and a cozy chemistry. A little was enough for her. He tried to understand the woman in his embrace. How casually she took off her armor. When will I tell you a truth? He literally whispered in her ears. She hummed in reply, placing her head near his chest to listen his heartbeats. I don't have any sister, but I have lived with my mom. Before going to bed, my mom used to throw her tight undergarments in the laundry basket. But you didn't. It's definitely you who gave me the freedom to trust every square centimeter of your body. Then why didn't you took off that? He complained while tracing the hook joint of her. Is it comfortable? No, I thought. She paused and lowered her head. My friends say that it looks damn when the wife is left only in her arms, and this pair is the one I was gifted, and also I didn't get the chance to take this off. When do you want? He asked directly as he knew her body badly needed rest. She didn't respond quickly, but after a few minutes, she uttered, "Cool, I love you. When you touch me, it doesn't feel awkward. It feels so right, but I am too unskilled to return you the same. We are in home. What if I scream while getting. Then who will teach you all these things?" He was getting triggered, but still he was stable enough to understand how nervous she was. "So you let me touch you because," he asked her, "because my friends suggested me that if everything goes on track, I mean, if I don't feel forced, I will like it, and I must tell my partner through my actions or words what I want, and I just tried to do that." Hiding in his embrace, she surrendered herself. "If I'm not wrong, wearing an overnight doesn't cause cancer." She literally mewed. "One night probably won't matter. I know we are here with the family. Your body needs rest, but my fingers won't stop pressing the hook and eye closer. The more I will do that, you want to be freed from this elasticated cage. Come on, it's a win win situation." He whispered in her ears, "I want to win. I want to be the man. I want to be the man before whom you would want to throw away all your armor and be the girl you are." Hmm. She just hummed in agreement and sensed cold air hitting her back as the layer of fabric was getting unzipped. Jungkook took his time to unzip the inner layer of her dress. "It's red," he chuckled. "I don't wear this kind of colors, but as my friend gifted, and I had no time for presentations, so I packed this one," she uttered. "Your friend? He or she?" He slowly dropped the dress from her shoulder and her fair skin was exposed. "Didn't I tell you I was a third wheel as my two besties got married? The wife is she and the husband is he." And her breath got hitched as he gently touched her shoulder with his warm pair of soft lips. "Go Appa and Omar in the next room," she managed to utter. So he chuckled as his finger trailed on her body freely. "And what am I doing? Am I hurting you?" he whispered while rubbing his stubble against her bare neckline. Actually, he was enjoying seeing her in a mess. She was getting thrilled with every touch of Jungkook. Her breathing pattern was uneven and she had no answers to Jungkook's questions, though she could barely think anything. Jungkook paused for a moment, and eventually Van's breathing pattern returned to its own pace. Probably Jungkook was waiting for that moment for his next move. He unclasped her and trailed his fingers on her bare back. Jungkook thought Van would be thrilled or react in any other way, but she didn't. Closing her eyes, she let him do whatever he was doing. She let his fingers tracing every square inch of her body. "What will you answer your friend if they ask whether the gift was effective or not?" he whispered in her ears. "Go. Why does your touch feel so right to me?" She inhaled his scent one more time, and yes, it worked. "Tomorrow we will be aparted again. We would have to go to our respective work. Don't know when we'll meet you again." He embraced her more tightly, reminding her the harsh reality. Oh, then I would plan to sneak into your apartment. She tried to lighten the heaviness of the topic. But for till then, I want to fully enjoy these moments with you right now so that I can gather all the resources to survive until we meet. When will you let me make my first real menstrual cycle chart for you? He kept finger combing her hair. Don't misunderstand me. I just want to plan my off days according to that. Hmm. She nodded. Obviously, she wasn't ready for what he just said, as she herself couldn't remember at that moment how long had her ears been praying to hear these words. As she was taking time to think this, she could clearly feel that Jungkook's grip on her was already loosened. He was breathing calmly, as he was already fallen asleep. It was quiet at night, so she also closed her eyes with a contented feeling. I wish to start every morning with the scent of your body, wifey. He pecked on her temple. She was sleeping but woke up feeling the touch of his warm lips. What's the time? Closing her half closed eyes, she managed to utter and enveloped herself in his embrace. How will I go to my office? I have to join today at 10. Let me book a car. She stretched her arm to look for her phone, but Jungkook held her hand to stop her. I'm going to drop you there. Get some more sleep. You're spoiling me. I love that. She uttered and snuggled more into his embrace. When? Wake up. Feeling the gentle tap on the back, Wen curled her eyebrows and crawled more towards the source of the warmth. You will be late, honey. She opened her eyes, feeling the soft touch of his warm lips on her forehead. And their eyes met. She wanted to cry as the reality hit, but no tears came from her eyes. Just a sharp pain gripped her at the thought of being separated from the source of the warmth. Can I use my own lips? And a trail of tears rolled down on her cheeks. She pressed her lips as tightly as possible and sniffed, tried to crawl into his embrace again to envelop herself for another time, but Jungkook stopped her, holding her frame tightly. You earned the position, honey. You have worked hard. Even you left everything to reach there where you are now. Fine. She exhaled in anger and got up from the bed. Expected that Jungkook might stop her from that, but nothing like that happened. She put on the same outfit she had on when she came to Busan with him to celebrate Chuseok. Aren't we getting late now? Is the time is stopped? She uttered. Jungkook nodded as he was aware of her anger issues. He had his own foolproof plan, but it was really necessary to join their respective duties following their respective schedules. At the same time, he was pleased with her childish behavior. In the past, she was just an obedient girl. She barely complained for anything, and now she was whining, getting angry. He took their belongings, and everything was kept in the car. Saying goodbye to their family members, they got into the backseat of the car. First few minutes, there was just the sound of ignited car engine. No one uttered nothing, and suddenly, Jungkook, holding her wrist, placed it on his. Wen was waiting for him to be defeated, but definitely she was not prepared for that. She silently gasped and glared. What are you doing? Almost no sound came out, and that made him chuckle. He brought his face closer to her ear and whispered, Tell me, Tell me honestly, how many times have you imagined this happening? Countless. Closing her eyes, she enveloped herself in his embrace. Maybe we are better than many. Maybe we live the life of that many people dream of. But we can't live the way we want. And that's a regret. He cursed his wife. Obviously, it was among one of his husband duties. He chose to talk less and play more with Van because deep down he was thinking the same. He was planning to take a few days leave, as he knew the early days of togetherness would never come back. And definitely he didn't want to miss them. Eventually her anger was subsided, and as the car stopped, she waved him. She was smiling brightly. Obviously, her efforts were clearly visible on her face. She suppressed her feelings of jumping into his embrace instead of standing alone in that cold. Her mind continuously refused to live the lonely life she was living previously. Love you, Van. She could read his lips before he left. It was almost 11 o'clock in the night. Van was still working in her office when a staff knocked on the door. Ma'am? Yes? She tried to sound as polite as possible. Ma'am, how long will you work? The staff asked. If you are getting late, you can go home. I will close the office and leave after finishing my work. She released him. No, ma'am, don't misunderstand me. A gentleman is waiting, probably for you, at the reception. He is looking tired and has been waiting for you for the past 10 minutes. He might be a relative of yours since you are the only one working in the office, and that's why I informed you. The staff left the room after getting his release statement from the higher authority. What? Who? Wen was left in disbelief as she told him to call her after reaching home. She closed the last file, shut down the computer, and switched off the lights, locked her office from outside, and as she turned, she found Jungkook in the couch, tired yet trying his best to stay awake. Why didn't you call me? She uttered and stretched her arm. Look, even your hands are getting cold. She literally scolded him, and he proudly flashed his bunny teeth. I have no idea about the depth of your work. I didn't disturb you so that there wouldn't be any unnecessary mistakes. Understand, wifey? Van nodded. The all day long she had thought that when he talked to her, the first thing she would say to him was, Love you. She had felt guilty all day long because she couldn't say those words, and finally, when he met her, she scolded him. Let's go home, she uttered. How was your day, Ku? She began to fidget. Good, busy. I shouldn't complain, but I'm really tired. All I need a good bath in warm water and cuddle my personal pillow. He yawned. What do you want to eat? She looked at his tired face. I don't have appetite yet. I can't hide my husband's cravings. He casually shrugged his shoulders. Her apartment was just a few minutes walking distance from her office, so they reached while having this conversation. She handed him the house key and stretched her arms. I will not step out of my bed tomorrow, she uttered. Hmm? Jungkook just hummed while opening the door, and as she stepped into the apartment after him, he gently pressed her against the door and started kissing her lips. I never tried pineapple candy. It's really good though. He tried to tease her, but she was already melted in his embrace. She let him fulfill his husband cravings, and after many few minutes, Jungkook detached his lips from her body. My decision of coming back to my wife tonight has been somewhat worthwhile. He chuckled and stretched his arms. Help me to clean up, please. He looked at her with his cute Bambi eyes, let her melt in his cuteness, made sure she won't feel the strength to deny him. Grabbing her tiny waist, she took her into the washroom and turned the shower on. Within seconds, they both were drenched in water. Please sacrifice this office attire for your tired husband. He gently grabbed her jaw and made her look at him. But first, tell me, how many times have you imagined this happening and wished this to be happening? Countless. She finally chuckled and enveloped herself in his embrace. But the white shirt I'm wearing was specially tailored for me. I don't know if I can take this off or not. The only word reached his ears was the white shirt. Unable to control his lust any longer, he took off the blazer to his eyes. She was wearing a purplish blue colored which was prominent as the blazer was taken off. He noticed very carefully. Her belly button was prominent under the sheer layer of that white fabric. He stopped the shower and took off his sweatshirt, revealing his perfect body. Do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you wanted to do and let me unbutton your shirt. He started unbuttoning her shirt. I think this is my new favorite color. White, she uttered while trailing her index finger on his masculine chest. No, this bluish purple. Whenever I would see this color, it would remind me of this moment. At his words, she tried to hide in his embrace but couldn't because he was holding her against the wall. Gently enough, yet she could move. When I have tried to imagine this moment, and I must say, my imagining quality is too poor. He finished unbuttoning her shirt and turned on the shower again. Positioning her in the focus of the shower, he casually slipped off the tailored fitted shirt from her body. Her body was quite nice, even though she didn't get time to go to the gym and it was quite obvious on her body. Yet there wasn't a bit of extra fat on her tummy. She was soft, delicate. He unclasped her, and as he raised his arm to throw the piece of fabric into the laundry basket, she enveloped herself in his embrace. Turn off the shower, please. He noticed that she was shivering, so he turned off the shower, wrapped her body with a bathing towel, and handed her the bathing soap. Help me. She nodded and started applying the soap. You customized it. The fragrance is quite similar to the one I used to use. Nice. I'm impressed. This one is the last one anyway, he chuckled. Why? She asked while applying the exfoliating solution on his back. I like the one you use. Oh, it's intoxicating. He turned and unclipped her bun, started massaging her scalp, and she closed her eyes, feeling the relief. How did you know? She uttered while securing herself in his embrace. How many times have you imagined this happening? I'm sure you didn't. He chuckled and kept massaging her scalp. Is it necessary to make this kind of hairstyle in your profession? She didn't utter a single word, just slightly shook her head in left to right. Then don't tie your hair so hard. He took ample amount of shampoo and applied on his scalp. I love the way your hair follows the flow of wind. It's fascinating. Countless time I suppressed my urge to smell your freshly washed hair. Then why didn't you do that? Her eyes welled up with tears. She thought under the shower Jungkook might not notice her tears. I deserved that much at least. She tried her best to control her emotions. You were too young, too immature to understand my love. You were longing for affection, attention, and I dreamed of touching you, every square centimeter of your body. I wanted to treat you as my personal one, and I knew it wasn't the right attitude. It shouldn't be like that. He finally rinsed off the conditioner from her hair. Please let it air dry this time. He helped her to put on her bathrobe and wrapped a towel around his waist. I'm sorry, man. Though I tried to justify every situation, but still I'm guilty for ruining your teenage emotions. Jungkook, please don't ruin this moment. Don't scold me for skipping the dinner tonight. I haven't eaten, but now I'm craving you. She softly mewed. I won't. He chuckled while laying her down on the bed. When will you answer me honestly? She hummed in reply. What's your thought about babies? He backhugged her more tightly as he knew she was already sensitive about the recent miscarriage of her best friend. She ruffled his freshly washed hair and pecked on his forehead. Dr. John, I promise you, I will try my best to raise our babies. He stared wide eyed in surprise. You want to? I wished for no complications, and definitely I don't want my child living like an orphan after my demise. Even if my children quarrel and become each other's bitterest enemies, they will know that they have someone in this world in whose presence they will not feel lonely. She raised her eyebrows as she wanted his approval. What do you think? I love you. He pecked on her lips. What if our children inherit both of our personalities? Then they will take care of each other. She smiled and closed her eyes.